commend President Xi, his team, and the Chinese government for the commitment they are making to slow, peak, and then reverse the course of China's carbon emissions. Today, I can also announce that the United States has set a new goal of reducing our net greenhouse gas emissions by 26 to 28% below 2005 levels by the year 2025. This is an ambitious goal, but it is an achievable goal.
So President Obama has signed a new deal with China, supposed to be world-changing, but I don't know, it seems to give Beijing carte blanche to do pretty much what they want, certainly pollute as much as they want, and that's a terrible thing, isn't it? Professor Tim Ball joins us by Skype from Victoria, BC. Tell us about the deal.
It's terrible. If I can be a little cute for a minute, they don't have clowns at Chinese circuses, but they had one at this one, and it's just a terrible deal. But first of all, Michael, it's all intent. If you read the wording, and that's what you've got to watch with these people, is the wording. It's all about intent. There's no actual commitment to do anything, and of course that's how they get away with it. They say, well, we never committed to do anything. And the other thing is that you've got to listen very carefully to the words where he uses the word carbon with regard to the Chinese, but he uses the words greenhouse gases with regard to the United States. Now, traditionally, he's mixed those up because he talks about carbon pollution. And ironically, the Chinese are planning to reduce carbon pollution, which is the smog that they have that everybody talks about. But they have no intention of reducing their CO2, the greenhouse gas, which is not causing climate change. So it's just a huge circus, a charade, which will not change anything at all.
Then why? If President Obama, as any political leader, would do things out of self-interest or pragmatism. But if there's no achievement here, then why would he sign the treaty?
Well, he makes it appear like there's a treaty. This is the illusion. And as I said, when you start picking out the words and parsing what they're actually saying, I mean, this is what is remarkable about these people. As I used to say to my students, when you can talk clearly with your tongue in your cheek, then you're ready for the real world. And that's what these politicians do. And they put these words in there so that, and it's the old legal game, as you know from your experience. If you just say, well, it appears that, then you're not stating an opinion and you can't be held liable for defamation. And you learn these games, you learn these tricks of the political trade. And this thing for Obama, it was a desperate move. His whole policy was rejected by the U.S. the other day, and he made it that way because he said, this is about my policies. They rejected them completely. And so he goes to China completely exposed. They know that's the only thing that he's got left, and that therefore they just did whatever they wanted. Right. And so it for Obama, it was an exercise in political ego, but that's also failed.
Well, we're going to show a clip here from one of the world's great leaders, Justin Trudeau. But I don't mean to mock, but what he says is directly pertinent because once again, it seems that we can ignore China, which is doing incredible damage to the environment, but give countries like Canada a very difficult time. Let's see that now, please.
I think it's very clear that we have a government that has disengaged from the international climate process, and I certainly hope that Canada will once again get involved in meeting targets and in addressing environmental concerns that people around the world have.
Yeah, we're responsible at many levels. China is the very opposite. We are criticized and condemned, and China is now congratulated.
Well, of course, this is because he doesn't understand climate science and how it's been manipulated for a political agenda. And he also clearly doesn't understand the difference between climate change and causes of climate change ban pollution. But this idea of creating the confusion in the public's mind, because how can you possibly be opposed to cleaning up pollution? But give you an example, under the Liberals in Canada, Environment Canada in one 5-year stretch spent $6.8 billion on climate change. Meanwhile, they didn't even meet their targets for pollution cleanup in Ontario. So this is all part of demonstrating how little these people understand and how political they make everything.
China, of course, huge economy, getting bigger, very important trading partner for all of the world. But how much damage are they doing, not only to their immediate environment, but to the world?
They're doing virtually none to the world. The immediate environment, the smog and the local air conditions, people have attempted to argue that it's affecting the world.
Yeah.
The arguments that these pollutants are spreading across the Pacific Ocean and affecting North America is simply not true. It's all washed out not far off the coast of China. So they've tried to make it into having an impact on the world, but really it isn't. The main impact on the world of China is what they're doing with state capitalism, where a regular capitalism simply can't compete.
True. I cannot imagine, though, that the Chinese regime will last very long. Their form of communism is moribund. It's evolving all the time. Surely within a generation, if not sooner, we'll see something different, if not fully democratic at least a nation state that can do proper deals with the West. I mean, is there very much to worry about long term?
No, because one of the things you have to remember about China is that Mao Zedong and the current leaders are no different than the great emperors of the past.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as Stalin was no different than the Tsar. The only difference was in terms of lineage and sort of within the family. But in terms of who decides who the leaders of China are, it's the Communist Party. And so for the public, the only thing that matters to the Chinese peasant is, am I getting 2 handfuls of rice instead of 1 handful of rice? That's really how basic it becomes. And so, as I said, once you've got state capitalism, that's very hard to break. And by the way, it's interesting to see the difference where Russia tried to get political freedom, and what they ended up with was mafia and the whole economy being taken over, whereas China went the other way. They went for economic freedom and consumerism, but kept political control.
Yes.
So it's interesting, the contrast.
Yes, it is. As always, fascinating. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Michael.